What's up, guys, and welcome, Daily Theologians. How should we think about aliens and UFOs? UFOs are becoming more and more prevalent in a culture obsessed with the probability of chance life in other places, and that, well, God really isn't God, and you're not really that special. But is that the case? Should we investigate UFOs, aliens? How should we respond? You're not going to want to miss this one as Dr. Al Mohler responds and Jeff Durbin weighs in as well. Stick around and check this out. So what do we do with aliens? Well, I think there are a couple things. Number one, we need to recognize that chance and probability and space does not necessitate or even have the ability to produce life. God is the author of life. God is sovereign. But there are some concerning developments that I think we as Christians need to be prepared to discuss. Check out this about 4-minute clip, and then I'll weigh in with some thoughts, and Dr. Mohler will weigh in as well.
It's going to become a greater and greater discussion and more commonplace, just because there are, without question, there is video evidence and other evidence, data, radar data, and those sorts of things about physical nature, a lot of this. But we need to be ready as Christians not to simply wave our hands and be dismissive to the actual physical evidence, but also be ready to deal with the worldview implications and the clear worldview implications coming from guys like Dr. Stephen Greer, who is one of the popular talking heads in the movement. And so we want to prepare you for it, because it's always loaded up at the front as a scientific discussion, observational evidence, those sorts of things, and then it moves right into the occult. And you're going to hear that from Stephen Greer today. And before we do, this is going to get you prepped for it to see why it's an important discussion to have. This was Senator Kennedy, I guess about a week ago or a little over a week ago, saying to lock your doors tonight after he had a meeting giving Congress an update on shooting down objects in the sky.
This is such a weird response, by the way.
It was a weird,
isn't it?
It's such a weird, almost like unprofessional,
like,
right?
I saw that, I was like, what?
You're in Congress, bro. You can't tell people to lock your doors.
They come
tonight.
into rob our houses?
I know,
like,
really.
What?
It was really, I thought it was strange too. It was really strange. So just so you know, this is going to become, it's becoming a conversation that you have to have something in and be ready to contribute toward. It's a conversation happening on the Joe Rogan podcast. Pop culture's having this conversation. Christians need to have an answer. We have had answers for a long time, and we've been trying to do that over the last couple of years. But here you go.
Here's what I took away from the briefing. Many people, intentionally or otherwise, have been given the impression that a couple of weeks ago our skies were clear, and then all of a sudden we have spy balloons and other unidentified flying objects raining down on us like confetti. That is not accurate. These objects have been flying over us for years, many years. We've known about those objects for many years. We're not sure that we've known about all of them, but we've known about many of them. Except for the Chinese spy balloon, we don't know what they are. What's different about the last 2 weeks is that we've started shooting them down. But we can't find the remnants, except for the spy balloon. And that's what I took away from the hearing today.
When you said this has been happening many times,
They're lost. They can't find them. The remnants are in very difficult terrain, low temperatures, lots of inclement weather, and they're looking, but they haven't been able to find them, except.
So there you go. That is Senator Kennedy talking about the UFOs and Chinese spy balloons. And
Sorry, I was just gonna say the whole thing is just strange. It's not. He's just clearly they caught him in the hallway. It's not like a press conference, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna tell you all these classified." All this classified information that we've known for a long time, but we just haven't told you.
Let me drop something that'll change your world immediately.
It just
and don't forget to lock your doors.
It seemed like so like intentionally like out of place. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah. I mean, just
So, what do we do with this? Well, one response comes from Dr. Al Mohler, and I think this is an appropriate response, but I want to give you my thoughts after this short clip.
The answer is no, that's speculative. What it does make very clear is that the entire cosmos was created for the drama of redemption, as Calvin said. The cosmos is a theater of God's redemption, what would take place here in order to save sinful humanity. So we have no reason to believe there's any other story out there. There's nothing in Scripture that says there can't be some form of life somewhere, but what we are told is that the cosmos was created in order that on this planet, Jesus Christ in space and time and history would come to save sinful humanity.
In fact, we know there's extraterrestrial life. They're angels. Don't they count? Why do people never talk about the angels?
You just did.
You know that the New Testament word for angel, angelos, appears more frequently than the word for sin and for the word for love. So there's no excuse for not talking.
So, we should talk about angels, and I believe that spiritual fallen angels exist. And as I've interacted with college students and various people and said, hey, would you believe if you saw Jesus rise from the dead? And they're like, yeah, I believe video evidence. I said, wouldn't you just think it was aliens? Like, what would convince you? Because ultimately here, guys, I think this is a very effective deception. And whether or not there are actual other life forms outside of fallen angels, I'm skeptical. I think if there are highly intelligent, spiritual fallen beings that want to convince a very scientific, postmodern, evolutionary-minded people that they don't have to follow God and that Jesus isn't the only way or whatever they want to tell us, people would be more than willing to hear it from anyone but the Bible, anyone but God, because ultimately here is where you have to rest your faith. The hand of faith rests on this. This certainty in the gospel is not inconclusive or a likely persuasion based on a fallible hope. It is an infallible assurance of faith founded on the blood and righteousness of Christ revealed in the gospel. It is also built on the inward evidence of those graces of the Spirit about which promises are made. It is further based on the testimony of the Spirit of adoption, supernatural thing here, witnessing with our spirits that we are children of God. As a fruit of this assurance, our hearts are kept humble and holy. I believe as you see people abandon the church, and as artificial intelligence increases and the need for resting in unknowns or things that we would deem faith becomes more and more mocked, more and more ridiculed, and the science becomes more and more pushed and more believed as a religion to replace the Trinity, I think people are ready, willing, and able to fully embrace aliens, fully embrace demons, fully embrace the Antichrist. And what we have to remember here is that no matter what life form appears, life is evidence of a life giver. You cannot reduce this down. God spoke through information, created life. The information is present in your DNA and will always be there. Whether it's an alien or angel or fallen angel, as I would have you persuaded to believe, hopefully, they still have a creator. Whatever you look at has a creator. And so what you have, no matter what standard you apply to this issue, is an infinite regression problem. There had to be an eternal existent God that created all things. And if somebody's talking to you trying to persuade you that Jesus is not the Christ, well, they have advanced technology. What do you expect from fallen angels? What do you expect when it says God will send them a strong delusion? Did you expect Satan to play fair? Did you expect, well, he shows up with the wings and like, hey, I think the way that demons work and Satan clearly works is lying. He's the father of lies. He will provide persuasive lies. He will provide persuasive signs. He will provide persuasive technology, persuasive things that are geared towards our fallen desires anyway. Anyone that tries to undermine the authority of the Bible and the assurance of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who is fully God and fully man, is from Satan. Whether that is a green-hatted, tinfoiled hat UFO, or whether it's some sort of advanced technology or some sort of artificial intelligence. There are only two camps, light and dark, truth and lies. Whatever wrapper that comes wrapped in, whether it's I am the Buddha or whether it's some false religion or some UFO saying you don't have to believe in God, believe the science. It's all the same source, guys. It's all from Satan. And so demons exist, fallen angels exist. We know that for sure. We know that we have an enemy. And so I want us to consider this verse from 2 Timothy, I believe 2 Timothy, or sorry, 1 Timothy chapter 4. Now the Spirit expressly says that in latter times some will depart from the faith by devoting themselves to deceitful spirits and teaching of demons. Now, again, there's not a demon under every rock. However, I think you're foolish if you think the UFO extraterrestrial evolutionary ideology is not steeped in demonic ideas. Who else would deny that Jesus is the Christ except the Antichrist? This is not of God. And so don't lose your black and white discernment. Compelling evidence does not negate the necessity of a creator. Whatever stance you take, I believe the answers in Genesis is very helpful in this issue. I believe that information is clear evidence, no matter who's talking to you, that they have a creator. I don't think you have to lose your groundings and your moorings based on what you perceive and understand. And even if a fallen angel or some UFO showed up and started talking, it does not negate the fact that God created. They didn't time travel through a different dimension and put life here, because you still have an infinite regression problem. So don't lose that in the shell game that is being played here. They came from another universe. Okay, well, who made them? Where did that come from? How did it? We don't know. Okay, so you had nothing, created everything. Right. You just give it enough time and chance. Time and chance do nothing. They are not forces. They are not powers. They can do nothing. And God is not the God of chance. God is not the God of circumstance, because ultimately he lived a perfect sinless life. He foreordained every possible part of this, fulfilled the law in our place, died, took the hell we deserve on the cross, died, and rose on the third day. And the issue here is always one of the heart. The heart must be changed. This is supernatural faith in a supernatural life-giving God and a supernatural recreating God that really did rise from the dead, that really did conquer sin, death, hell, and the grave. And his authority is the word of God. You say, well, it's old and outdated. Fine. But God never changes. He's immutable. And so his word never changes. And unless you have an unchanging standard from an all-knowing God, you really just have speculation and I hope so's. But we don't rest in I hope so's. We rest in the I am, the great certainty of the resurrection and life after death because of Jesus Christ, who is the creator, sustainer, founder, and perfecter of our faith. So if you're still watching this rant, take a moment and hammer that like button. Like the 95 Theses, let me know what you think about aliens and this obsession with UFOs that we've been teed up for the past 30, 40, 50 years, teeing people up for a deception, and whether or not these things are true or not. Demons could very well create these things. I don't doubt the existence of extraterrestrials. Demons, I affirm, exist. So, yeah, I think this fits into the Christian worldview very easily. And don't lose heart. Don't lose your faith. Don't be deceived. And keep your focus on the empty tomb. Thanks for watching, and God bless.